Hello and good day, everyone. I am Katrina Pauline Samillano, and today I will be discussing with you syllable structure, and I would also include a synthesis of Chapter 3 English Phonology, Phonotactics, and Suprasegmentals. Before we proceed into breaking down the syllable structure, I would first like to share with you the terms and symbols that will be utilized in this lesson. So we have first the Greek letter sigma, in which the symbol you will see right here, this symbol um, linguists like to use to label an entire syllable. So when you see a symbol like this in the in a linguistic context, it would mean an entire syllable or a syllable. Next is the onset, which is the consonant or consonant blend at the beginning of a word that precedes the first vowel. So next is rhyme, or it is sometimes spelled as RIME, in which this consists of a nucleus and an optional coda. So we have under the rhyme, we have firstly the nucleus. It is sometimes called a speak, and it is the central part of the syllable. Most commonly, it is a vowel. In most languages, the only part of a syllable that is mandatory is the nucleus. So basically, nucleus is the vowel of the first vowel of a syllable. So lastly, we have the coda, and the optional coda is the final part of a syllable placed after its nucleus, and it is usually composed of one or more consonants. So this is the figure of a syllable structure. So under the sigma or under a syllable, we have the onset and the rhyme, and under the rhyme, we have the nucleus and coda. And remember that onset is the first consonant before the vowel, and the coda is the consonant after the vowel. So it's consonant, vowel, consonant. So next, I have an example here, a monosyllabic word, cat. So you need to remember that before you break down a syllable into these parts, you need to transcribe it first into a phonetic symbol, into IPA. And so we will have, instead of the word cat, we will have the sound cat here because um, actually, a syllable concerns sounds more than concern it concerns words. So syllable is basically sounds. So we have here the um, phonetic symbols, which shows cat, and here we have the onset k, and rhyme. Under the rhyme, we have the nucleus a and the coda t. So we can have the word cat. So in a syllable structure, there are times that um, either onset or the coda or neither of them are present, and only a nucleus is present. So we have the example here. Firstly, it is I, and always remember to, before you will break down a syllable, you first need to transcribe it into IPA. So we have the word I, so we have the only the nucleus I, and we have zero onset and zero coda. Next is the word ba. So, and I wanted to say that this is transcribed into British English. So instead of saying bar, we need to pronounce it as ba because it is a British transcription of the word. So since it is not read as bar, we don't have coda. We have zero coda right here. We only have the onset b and the nucleus a. So we have the word ba. Next, we have the word oil. It has zero onset, um, and the nucleus oi, and the coda l. And lastly, we have the word spring. Um, all of the syllable structure elements are present, in which the onset we have spur, the nucleus we have the e, and the coda so that makes the word spring. Now, in this slide, you can see a lot of C, 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 and V. So the C is equal to consonants, and the V would also equate to vowels. So an onset or a coda could have one or multiple consonants, and if you will see multiple consonants on either of the two, it is called a cluster. If you can see two or more consonants in a onset or a coda, those are called cluster. And these are the other possible combinations in a syllable. We have consonant, consonant, vowel, consonant, 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 vowel, consonant, consonant, and so on, so forth, etc., etc. Then next we have a dissyllabic word, and this word is question. So since we have two syllables here, we also have two sets of syllable structure, which is in the first structure, we have the onset quo, the nucleus e, and the coda s. And in the next syllable, since we have two syllables here, we will have now another set again of syllable structure, in which we have the onset ch and the nucleus and coda n. So that makes the word question. So ambisyllabicity. If stress falls on the initial syllable, speakers syllabify sometimes with a consonant as coda of the first syllable, sometimes as onset of the second, as in, like for example, the word ready, or it could also be ready, or rigid, or rigid. The consonant is said to be ambisyllabic, which means both in Greek, belonging to both syllables. So we have here the word mastermind. Again, this is a British transcription of the word. So we have the word mastermind, and since the vowel A is stressed in this word, the next consonant is ambisyllabic. So since we have the word mastermind, and for simplicity, we will ignore the intermediate level of the rhyme. So we have here in the word mastermind, we have the onset the nucleus a, the ambisyllabic s. It could either be coda or an onset, and the onset t, the nucleus a, the code we have zero coda for the second syllable structure, and on the third syllable structure we have onset nucleus I, and coda nd. So we have trisyllabic word here, mastermind. So we also have three sets of syllable structure. So next is ambisyllabicity may occur as well when the syllable preceding and following the consonant are both unstressed, as in manifest, or manifest, or origin, or origin. Of course, the first consonant is also ambisyllabic. So we have the word here origin. So this is the IPA transcription of origin. And by the way, this is now an American transcription. So we have here the word origin. And since it is a trisyllabic word, we have three sets of syllable structures. We have in the first syllable we have zero onset, the nucleus o, the ambisyllabic r, the nucleus the ambisyllabic j, and nucleus the coda, and lastly the coda n. So that makes the word origin or origin. So next is the maximal onset principle. This is a principle that suggests that consonants are with which are intervocalic, are maximally assigned to the onset so long as they conform with universal and language specific conditions. So we have a phrase here which says onsets are greedy. And in this principle, it suggests that when a cluster could be grammatically possible, um, the consonants are automatically assigned to the onset. So we have the example here, the word ugly. So um, I think some of us, and I would even include myself, do think that the second syllable separation of the word ugly right um, is the right syllable structure of this word, but in fact it is like this, like the first representation of the actual separation of syllable. So in the word ugly, since we have two syllables, we have two sets here. Firstly, we only have the nucleus and we have zero onset and zero coda. And second, we have the onset g and the nucleus e, and we have zero coda. So that makes the word ugly. We also have extra here, in which um, e at the ek is on one syllable and the straw is on the second syllable. The reason why the k in extra do not belong in the second syllable, it's because if you make a straw, it's not grammatically possible. There's no word in the English language that that would make these cluster a word. So that makes the straw that makes the straw put together, but the ek is separated with them. So that makes the nucleus e, the coda k, and another syllable would be the onset str and the nucleus So that makes the word extra. I hope you get my point. So next we have the English phonology, phonotactics, and suprasegmentals. So phonemes. So phonology is basically the study of the distinctive sounds in a language. A phoneme is a distinctive or contrastive sound in a language, and what distinctive means in this context is that the sound makes a difference in meaning and has a communicative value. The phonemes of a language are determined by means of what are called minimal pairs, which is a set of different words consisting of all the same sounds except for one. The one sound which contrasts is then determined to be a phoneme since it makes a difference in meaning and it differentiates one word for another. So, for example, we have the minimal pair at. So, if you add a phoneme k to it, it would make the word cat. But in a minimal pair, and if there's a minimal pair at and you add the phoneme p, then it would make pat and it would be another meaning now. So that is what it means. So now phonemes are said to be unpredictable since their occurrence depends on what word you want to say rather than by any phonological rule. So next is phonotactics and suprasegmental features. And based on what Ms. Rachel Villanueva have discussed in the previous lesson, phonotactics are basically the constraints on positions and sequences of sounds in a language. Phonotactics are always language specific, that is, combinations of certain sounds may be permitted in another language which are permitted in the English language, such as um, the phoneme it is not allowed as a word initial and it is also it is just allowed rather on either to be a medial phoneme or a word final. So phonotactics can tell us what can count as syllable, like how many consonants you can have at the beginning of a syllable or how many consonants you can have at the end of the syllable. So basically, when we phonotactics and syllable structure is really related because in phonotactics we can learn the constraints of um, or what we should do and what we should not do in breaking down a syllable and um, knowing about the word initial, word final, or the medial consonants and vowels in a word would be a big help for us to determine how to break down a syllable into its parts and its elements. Next is the suprasegmental features. So this is the articulatory features, which are superimposed over more than one segment, that is vowel or consonant, and they also include stress and intonation. So as I've discussed earlier about the ambisyllabic words, um, stress is a very significant determinator whether you would um, you would determine whether a word or a phoneme is ambisyllabic or not. So stress is very significant. Therefore, suprasegmental features such as the intonation, the length, the stress, and so on and so forth of a certain word can be really helpful in determining um, the entirety of a syllable structure. So all of these are really related to each other, and they um, co-function. They co-function with each other, and in knowing and in delving with phonemes, phonotactives, phonological processes, phonological structures, and everything, we can know what and or how will we break down a syllable structure. It is very important and significant to the syllable structure. So that is all for my report for today. I hope you learned something, and I hope you um, got now how to break down a syllable, and I hope you can do it on your own now. Thank you. Bye.